real whinge, and and I'm like anyone else. I have a day where I go, that's not working out for me, and I'm grumpy and I'm all that. But when I take a deep breath and a step back, I just remember I am so lucky. And I know it because I have I have had a lot. I wouldn't, I've had stuff. And because I've had stuff, I am now super grateful for when it's good. And I think that has really set me in a good place, because if you get a great one that goes wild and people say it's changing their life, fantastic. If you get one that isn't doing so well and you feel that you're hand selling every last copy, okay. You can make, yeah, I can make either one work, because it's not life and death.
It's funny. Yesterday, I wrote a Substack piece, and it was basically about like about comparison, and how when we
Yeah,
get to this time of the year, everyone's comparing themselves against other writers and what they can see on their Instagram feed, whether they're in the bestsellers chart or they've got a new deal. And I say it's just part and parcel, unfortunately, of being
yes.
a writer, of that being in that space of comparison. And my solution to it is just to you have to ignore it. It's not saying you
Correct.
can't appreciate and be grateful for the successes of your writer's friend, but if you want, you need to focus on what you need to do.
I
And if
think
you're
I think that's so true. I think
mm,
finding joy in other people's success is a big, big life hack. It's a
yeah,
really good thing,
yeah,
because then you're always jolly, because somebody somewhere has always been successful. But if you're pissed off with somebody else's success, you
yeah.
will always be miserable, because somebody somewhere has always been successful. So I believe it's a good idea to go, yeah, okay, great, and not go, oh, they got lucky, but to think, how much
Mm,
work did they do to do that? Also to remember they have stuff going on in their lives. It isn't how it's presented on Instagram. That is hilarious that you said that, because I had a little moment this morning where I saw something on Instagram and it niggled me, and it really did, and it sort of just poked me, and I thought, huh, and I had a bit of a grumble about it to my editor, and my editor then put it in context, and I went, oh, sorry for being a stroppy teen, thank you very much. And I had to eat some humble pie because I got proper context.
yeah.
And none of us, we're all human, none of us can like be perfect
Mm,
all the time. But I know so I've been asked in the past, I only present good stuff on my Insta, not because I'm trying to say my life is perfect, I'm not, but because even my life is always very, very good compared to people who can't afford food, can't afford heating, who
yeah.
haven't got basic human rights, who are not allowed to go to school because of their gender. There are a lot of real struggles out there. So I feel, as an entertainer, going back to what I've always seen myself
Mm,
as, if I have a social media, it is social. It is not what my private dialogue with my husband, with my mom and dad, with my sister. It is who I can whinge to. It is the public face saying, I'm here to cheer people up. I'm here to entertain people. So quite often I will go, hey, I went to a party. If you read me very carefully, because I'll never tell a lie, people will go, that looked as though it was amazing. And you'll see my response. It might be like, yeah, I stayed for an hour. And then that one wasn't amazing. Or, oh my God, I can't remember leaving. That one was good.
that
You know
was a
what I
good
mean?
time.
And I'll never tell a lie on Insta. I will show, but I will try and show the positivity. But I am aware that that can trigger other people
Yeah.
inadvertently. It's not meant to. I try and not do this is what I've been bought, or this is what I've been sent, or this is where I am on the charts. I don't think that's useful for people. But I do tend to go, this is my nice new dress. I think people like a nice new dress.
They
I think
do. I
that's
mean, my last post, other than the podcast episodes, it was, this is the Star Wars battles taking place on my Christmas trees, because this is the stuff that
yes,
entertains me. So
yeah,
that on my Insta.
yeah,
I want to
amazing.
share that with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
You don't
And
need
lots
to
of
see
people love
me
that,
in
because
hospital
that's
2 weeks ago.
yeah, and that's already given me an insight into you going, oh my God, she's a Star Wars fan. Oh, what
Yeah.
decorations must she have? Oh, my husband would like those decorations. There's a lot of like relatability, and it's adorable.
But that's the thing, yeah, because someone in the comments went, "Where did you get the ornaments from?" I'm like, "Oh, go to Hallmark and
Exactly.
you can get the ornaments."
Exactly. Yeah.
It's Adele, when you look back, like, over your 25 books, Are there moments I'm sure there must be. Are there moments in that 25 book career where you were like, "I don't know if I can do this again," 'cause maybe that book you wrote was not it didn't do what you thought it was going to do?
Yeah, I have had ones that have, I've thought, like, so my historical books, I've written 2 historical books, and
Yeah.
they're set in the World War One, and just a little in the aftermath, a little bit after the World War One. And I loved those books, and I researched them for 4 years while writing other books, and I put my heart and soul into them, and I genuinely think they are possibly, they're certainly some of my best writing. But not everyone likes a historical book. So where I was selling, a good 100 to 200,000 copies of my, in the first sort of 6 months, year of all my contemporary books,
Mm.
it suddenly dropped down. It's like half of that, a third of that. And I couldn't understand it because I was like, "But these are the really good books."
And
And
it's
honestly,
you would have thought.
and yeah, and I'd done the 4 years research, and, and everybody was reviewing them really well, and anyone who was reading them were loving them. And then I thought, hang on, this isn't about me or my books. It's about what people like to read, and not everybody
Mm.
wants to. A lot of people like to read contemporary books because they imagine themselves in it, and not everybody wants to read historical because they can't imagine themselves in it. So I was like, okay, that's not, that's nothing to do with me. But it did gave me food for thought. Would I write another historical book? Yeah, because I loved it. But would my publishers want me to write another historical book? Possibly not. Do you know what I mean? It's quite
Yeah, I
interesting.
do.
So there's things like that you have to think about in your career. There are also times when, like, really odd things have happened. Like, I don't know, I got a certain promotion. I don't know if you're allowed to say what promotions or what, but I got a promotion. It was a really good deal. And it meant that my books were going to be selling for a super cheap price. But it happened over Easter weekend. And for whatever reason, because it was Easter weekend, none of the marketing arrived to the supermarket to say that this deal was happening. So whilst my book was available for £3.50, so it should have flown off the
You'd have
shelves,
flown off. Mm.
it just didn't. So then they went, "Oh, look how many books we've had to return. We don't think we'll stock you next year." And we're like, "No, no, 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 it's
No,
your
that's
fault because you didn't get the marketing up."
oh.
So that kind of thing, you just have to go, okay, so that is life. That is, it
Mm.
was Easter weekend. The marketing didn't get where it should have been at the right time. Take a deep breath. That weekend was a really tough weekend because, if you've been in the game long enough, I knew what that would mean in terms of, it was chart position and what chart position means for sell on and long tail for your book and word of mouth. And it was a really good book that I loved. So I was sad, but I
Yeah.
remember at that weekend thinking, right, you're going to have to put on your big girl pants and get out there and still tell people about it and go to events and, look at your other ways of selling out to your public. So yeah, there have been disappointments, and in America, I'm only, would you believe, 25 years into my career, I'm doing my very first tour in America next year in February.
See,
You
that's
know,
crazy, isn't it? But
take a
you're not
breath.
yeah,
Take a
but
breath.
you're not the first and say you're not the first, like, I'll say, big name author in the UK who I'm not saying struggling, but haven't had the same
No,
recognition or the same traction in
no,
the
because
States.
it's really personal. It's a different market. We think it's the same
Mm,
market because it's English
it's
speaking,
not.
but it's different because different humor, different fashions, different publishing houses. Now I have actually got the same publishing house. So I'm HarperCollins in the UK and I'm HarperCollins in America. And I think that's helped because
Yeah.
they now get me, they understand me, they understand the work I'm prepared to put in, they understand how I market, all those things. So for 5 or 6 years, they've been really supporting me and we've seen the sales. And now the sales are robust enough to justify a tour. But it has taken 25 years of my life to get to that. Call me the Robbie Williams of, of novels because, America is hard to crack.
Yeah, speaking of Robbie Williams, didn't he had his, God, I can't remember what it's called now, he had his movie, like his little
Oh,
bug,
the one with the
um
monkey.
yeah, the one with the monkey.
Man yeah, it was brilliant. Did you
Yeah, I
see
can't
it?
remember what it was called,
Uh,
and I remember they was talking about it on the radio, and I think they were talking to American, they're like, "Well, it didn't do anything in the
no,
States." They're like, "Well, we don't know who Robbie Williams is, like,
no. But did you see
why is
that
he a
movie?
thing?"
Because it was,
No, I haven't seen it.
oh my gosh, it was a brilliant movie. It was a brilliant movie, and I remember watching that. And honestly, if you're in the arts, you see a lot of things that you think, "Oh, that was quite average," but did so well
Yeah.
because it got the right wave. It just whatever, and then you see a lot of things that are absolutely phenomenal and don't do as well, and that's just the arts.
Mm.
Actually, that's just life. I don't
Yeah.
believe there is a sort of oh a sort of this is an even scale. There isn't, when your kids go, "Oh, life's not fair." Yeah, that's not fair. The answer always is, "Well, life isn't
Life
love."
is
You
not
know what I
fair.
mean? But, not that I'm crying in a bucket for Robbie, but honestly, I thought it was a really interesting movie. But I am a Robbie fan. I think
Yeah.
you have to be a Robbie fan.
To be into it.
Yeah, to be
What
into a
made
monkey being Robbie, I think you have to be a Robbie fan. Yeah,
you what was it, like a deliberate decision to switch? I'm saying switch to, like, the psychological thrillers, or was it just something 'cause I remember talking to Dorothy Coomson, because
yeah.
she's, like, a similar in terms of, I say, career path
Arc.
to you in terms of she started off with, like, romantic comedies
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then it's
And
now
she did
she's in
family
in
dramas, and
family
now she does
dramas,
psychological thrillers.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I would say, with me, the deliberate switch was definitely the historical. That was definitely
right.
a moment of going, my books are really it's so vain. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I thought my books were really good. They are. So
But
while I
you
was,
need that
you
confidence.
need that confidence, but they would never get reviews in broadsheets because they were romantic comedies. So you
Mm,
might get reviews in women's magazines or in weeklies, or you might get a daily newspaper. So I thought I will write an historical, because I will get noticed by the powers that be, and it was true. I did. I got great reviews in the broadsheets. I started to get invited to things like Cheltenham Book Festival and some of the sort of more established, prestigious literary people
like
started to
Hayes.
notice
Ha
me. Hay invited
Yeah.
me, so they started to notice me and read my books and went, "Oh, you can write." I was like, "Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, I can."
You can write.
So that was all good. So, but as I say, the sales didn't really support it. So then I had this dilemma of going, right, my sales don't support historical, but
Mm,
I'm getting kudos and I'm getting noticed and I'm getting, that sort of traction that's necessary. What can I do? I didn't want to go back to, I always sort of joke, but you shouldn't joke. If you've killed 75,000 men before breakfast in a battle, I did not do that, but that did happen. And it was reflected in the book I wrote. It is very
mm.
hard to go back to light romantic comedies
Yeah,
because, you've gone to those darker places. Plus, I was a much more established, happy person in my 40s than I had been in my 30s because of the things we've talked about.
mm,
So by the time I was in my 40s and I had written about war and I was feeling personally quite confident and comfortable and happy, I felt I could go to darker places. And so psychological thrillers didn't scare me the way they would have done when I was borderline depressed and certainly grief stricken.
yeah,
Um, I could go there and know I was writing a book and I was still entertaining and I could pull back again. So I could take my twisty turny plots and just murder someone.
right. I mean, I clearly have no problem doing that in
You
my
have
book. It comes
no
across
problem. Oh my gosh,
no.
you're so dark. Yeah. That's because you're so light.
It's
You know what I mean? You're so jolly and happy. You're going, yeah, okay, let's
yeah,
go there.
actually, I think there's a point. I think if I
Mhm.
wasn't this way how I am
Yeah.
in my life, I don't think I could write the things
No.
I do.
Because you feel personally very safe, I imagine. I think
Yeah,
you're a very grounded human being, and therefore, reading about this sort of stuff or writing about this sort of stuff doesn't threaten you. You know
no,
where you are in the world. Where I think when I was in a more vulnerable place, that would have scared the
yeah.
bejesus out of me, as my husband that's his phrase, the bejesus. So yeah, I didn't do that. So it wasn't really I didn't sit down and think, right, what should I write next? I just sort of thought, oh, the personally where I am as a human being, this seems to talk to me. I tend to write the story I want to write, and then I let other people market it. Do you know what I mean? I give it
Oh,
to the
no, that
publisher.
makes sense. 'Cause you know what? I think when you think of it that way, it takes a lot of pressure off
Mm,
you because, there's so always say there's so much information out there now, which is the benefit of being in this time, this digital age. So there's so much information that you could easily go online and type in Google. how do I write a psychological thriller? And you might feel tempted to stick beat by beat by beat by beat, and it forces you to maybe write a different story to the one that you intended. Whereas
Yeah,
if you say you just write the story and let your the
I
marketing team
do.
sort out
I
how they're
mean
gonna
I
do
mean,
it, it takes pressure off you.
yeah, and I'm quite a Luddite anyway. We're pleased I've got a phone. We're thrilled when I do an Instagram post. We're very proud of me. I don't, when people went, "Oh, there's TikTok," I was like, "No, you're kidding me. I just don't think there's room in my life." So I haven't done that. And I think I stopped developing sort of on tech after Instagram, which can I say I shouldn't be proud of. I should be
No,
keeping
it's
up with it.
fine.
But it does mean I am not particularly aware of how of that kind of thing, because that's not what makes me tick. What makes me
Mm,
tick is I see somebody and I think, "Ah, I think I know what you might be thinking." I connect, I feel
yeah.
that. I want to write about that because we're all really human. In the end, we're so human and we forget that that is the thing we all have in common, right? We have a couple of things. We're born, we die. That's what we have in common. Everything else in between, we should try and make more connections,
Mm,
not more divisions. And I genuinely believe that. So for me, writing is just about communicating, connecting, saying, "This is kind of what I think about stuff. Does anyone else does this resonate?"
yeah.
And then when readers go, "Yeah, it really does," that is my best moment. So if I had got that through some technology, I would deprive myself of that moment because that's what I'm doing it for.
You know when you wrote that first psychological thriller book, were you were you, like, conscious of the readers and how they would respond? Like, were you waiting for the outcome, or were you just like, "I've written a book,
I didn't
let
even
it
know it
go
was a
out there"?
psychological thriller. So I wrote a book that I mean, I did, I thought, "Oh, I've pushed this relationship drama, somebody died."
Yeah,
So all my books, whether they're relationship dramas, whether they're romances, whatever, historical, whatever, they will have twists in them because I think that's entertainment. I think that's what
mm,
books do. Not all books. Some books are, an exploration of character or a journey, an arc for a character or something. But mine tend to be genre books, tend to be about twists.
yeah,
So I just had a little bit more scary people in it, like characters that would just go a little bit further and a little bit unhinged. And I just thought I was having a bit of fun with that. And when I delivered it, all my team, my publishing house just went, "Oh my gosh, you've gone so dark. This is a psychological thriller." I went, "Is it?" And then they were saying things like, "Oh, you could be invited to Harrogate, the crime festival." I was like,
you're like,
"Can I?"
"Can I?"
Because there were great people there. And I think in my head, it was just going to be like, that'd be amazing because, I know lots of people who do that. But
Yeah.
I didn't. And I went up on did panels where I'd say, "I don't know if I should really be sat here. I don't know if I'm writing crime. I don't know if I'm writing thrillers yet." So it sort of dawned on everyone else before it dawned on me that that's what I was doing. So I don't think I was worried about what my readers would think, other than any more or less than I would with any other genre.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I why I think psychological thrillers, like, work and why people are drawn to them? Because when I can only relate it back to practicing criminal law, and I say, like, the darkest moments, and, it's not like the scary things like you see in the films, it's like the normal
Yeah.
things, the everyday moments in people's lives that suddenly just turn
The
because
peculiar
someone said
cruelty.
something.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
those little moments, and
Yeah.
I think anyone can pick up a book, and when they're reading those moments, they're like, that could easily be
Yeah.
me."
That could
If
happen
I
to me.
some Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. And that's why we like to explore them at
Mm,
a distance. I think that's why we like to read them because we kind of can normalize that hurt. Because a lot of psychological thrillers, there might be about a disloyalty. So it might be a partner, a spouse, or a
yeah,
friend. You know, that's why they're psychological thrillers. Because if it was, a stranger coming off the street and doing something awful to you, you kind of go, yeah, you're all right, that's awful, but you're a stranger. So that was bad
yeah,
luck. If it's somebody who does something awful to you and they're close to you, that is so much more wounding. Even if they
yeah.
don't physically hurt you, but they
It's a
mentally
betrayal.
hurt you or emotionally hurt you, it's a betrayal. And then the other things that are interesting to deal with is how people become obsessed with each other.
Mm,
And I think that's interesting in psychological thrillers. So I think we're in a world where it's very easy to follow people. I mean, though we use that term, don't we? Oh, I have followers
Yeah,
on
I'm just
Instagram.
following so and so.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this clip from the Conversation podcast. If you'd like to see the full episode, you can watch it right now here on my channel. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.